Mercury Cougar 1989 to 1997. On December 26, 1988, the 7th generation Mercury Cougar was introduced for the 1989 model year. Developed from the second quarter of 1984, as a counterpart of the 10th generation Ford Thunderbird, the $2 billion redesign of the two vehicles was intended to create handling benchmarked against far more expensive coupes, BMW 6 Series, Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC, Jaguar XJS, while remaining in the same price segment. During the development of the 1989 Cougar, the form factor of coupes shifted significantly, as the quartet of GMG body coupes were replaced by front-wheel drive vehicles. The introduction of the Acura Legend by Honda marked the introduction of Japanese-produced luxury vehicles. At its 1989 debut, the Cougar was marketed largely as the flagship coupe of the Mercury division. As Mercury revised its model line during the 1990s, the Cougar became the sole two-door model offered by the division. As market demand shifted away from large two-door coupes, the Mercury Cougar and Ford Thunderbird were discontinued after the 1997 model year, with the final example produced on September 4, 1997. The 7th generation Mercury Cougar is built upon the Ford MN12 platform. Designed specifically for the Mercury Cougar and Ford Thunderbird, the MN12 chassis retained the use of rear-wheel drive. While its exterior footprint changed negligibly, in a major change, the wheelbase was expanded 9 inches to 113 inches, longer than a Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC. Centered around the design of the MN12 chassis was its use of four-wheel independent suspension in place of a live rear axle. With the exception of the Chevrolet Corvette, the Ford MN12 chassis marked its first use in a mass-produced front-engine rear-drive American automobile. In front, the Mercury Cougar was configured with a short, long-arm wishbone suspension. As an option, the Cougar was available with four-wheel anti-lock disc brakes, standard on the Cougar XR7. As part of the 1989 redesign, the MN12 chassis was powered solely by a 3.8 liters V6, as the lowered hood line of the MN12 was too low to fit the 4.9 liters, 302 cubic inches, V8, making it the first time a V8 was not available in the Cougar or Thunderbird. LS trim Cougars were offered with a naturally aspirated 140 horsepower version of the V6, while the XR7 was powered by a 210 horsepower supercharged version, serving as the replacement for the turbocharged 2.3 liters inline-4. The naturally aspirated V6 was paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission, while the supercharged V6 was offered with a 5-speed manual, with the automatic as an option. For 1991, a 200 horsepower, 149 kilowatts, version of the 4.9 liters, 302 cubic inches, Windsor 5.0 was introduced, featuring a redesigned intake manifold to allow sufficient underhood clearance. Offered as an option on the Cougar LS, the V8 replaced the supercharged V6 in the XR7, which also marked the end of the 5-speed manual in the MN12 Cougar. Originally slated for 1993, the 1994 Cougar shifted from the overhead valve 302 cubic inches, 4.9 liters, V8 to a 205 horsepower 4.6 liters SOC V8, shared with the Mercury Grand Marquis. In another 1994 change, the 4R70W electronically controlled version of the odd 4-speed automatic was introduced for both the V6 and V8 engines. As the 6th generation Mercury Cougar had proved successful in the marketplace, the 1989 redesign of the Cougar was largely an evolution of the previous generation, with updates of many previous design elements. The upright notchback roofline underwent a major revision, with the controversial upswept quarter windows of the previous generation abandoned. While proportioned differently, wraparound headlamps and taillamps were modeled similar to the Mercury Sable. As a result of the longer wheelbase, the rear overhang was shortened. During the development of MN12, Ford designers sought to develop increased differentiation between the Cougar and Thunderbird. While fenders and doors are common between the two vehicles, in comparison to the 1983 to 1987 generation, fewer visible parts are shared. As part of the shift to the wider MN12 chassis, the Cougar again became a 5-passenger vehicle, for the first time since 1982. As a result of the wider interior, all Cougars were fitted with a center console with a floor-mounted shifter. In following with the previous generation, LS trim Cougars were fitted with digital instrumentation. The Cougar XR7 was fitted with an analog instrument panel. Originally slated to be launched with dual airbags, cost overruns and market demand necessitated the use of automatic seatbelts to meet passive restraint requirements. For 1994, the interior underwent a complete redesign, similar to the Lincoln Mark 8, with dual airbags replacing the automatic seatbelts. For 1997, the Cougar received a new instrument panel, similar to the Taurus/Sable, with cup holders added to the center console. Several items were removed as part of decontenting, including the courtesy lamps, underhood light and glove box light. During its production, the 7th generation Mercury Cougar underwent several revisions. For 1991, the Cougar underwent a slight facelift, with new headlamps, taillamps, and front bumper. The facelift is distinguished by a smaller grille. 1989 to 1990 versions extend above the headlamps. For 1994, a second facelift saw a revision of the grille, taillamps, and a simplification of the side molding. The interior was also revised at this time and now included dual airbags with a wraparound style interior. For 1996, the Cougar received a major restyling, sharing its entire front fascia with the Ford Thunderbird except for the front bumper cover and grille. The body sides received wide-body colored cladding. At its launch, the 7th generation Mercury Cougar retained the same model trims as before, with the LS geared towards luxury and convenience features and the XR7 geared towards performance and handling. Externally, the LS was given chrome window trim while the XR7 was nearly monochromatic with black window trim. To optimize its handling capabilities, the XR7 was fitted with many model-specific features. In addition to the 210 horsepower supercharged V6, replaced by a 5.0 liters V8 in 1991, the XR7 featured 4-wheel anti-lock disc brakes, electronically adjustable handling suspension, 16-inch alloy wheels, and a 5-speed manual transmission. To differentiate the XR7 from the LS, the model was fitted with sport seats, 2-spoke sport steering wheel, and full analog instrumentation. For 1993, Mercury revised the Cougar model line, with the XR7 becoming the sole trim level, dropping the LS and the monochromatic sport-oriented XR7, eliminating some overlap with the Ford Thunderbird. Adapting much of the equipment of the previous LS, the 1993 XR7 adapted chrome exterior trim and a standard digital instrument cluster, with 4-wheel disc brakes becoming an option. In contrast to the previous LS, the 1993 XR7 offered both V6 and V8 engines. Alongside the LS and both versions of the XR7, several limited editions of the Cougar were produced. To commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Mercury Cougar, in 1992, the 25th anniversary Mercury Cougar was an option package, nearly exclusively on XR7 models. Equipped with 15 inches BBS alloy wheels, all examples were painted green with a tan interior, with green carpet. Other features included model-specific trunk lid and C-pillar badging and an imitation trunk lid luggage rack. To commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Mercury Cougar, for 1997, Mercury produced a 30th anniversary Mercury Cougar XR7 as an option package. Distinguished by its use of Lincoln Mark 8 wheels, the 30th anniversary Cougar featured model-specific C-pillar emblems, embroidered seat and floor mat emblems. The option also included commemorative items shipped to the owner. Approximately 5,000 25th anniversary and 5,000 30th anniversary Cougars were produced.